All right, so get this. You've scored a deep dive
Oh, wow.
into some seriously cool AI research.
Okay.
We'll be taking a look at this paper
Okay.
called SelfCite, Self-Supervised Alignment for Context Attribution in Large Language Models.
Yeah.
Sounds kind of like a mouthful, but
Oh,
trust me,
right.
the concept is mind-blowing.
I
It's
know.
basically like,
Yeah.
imagine an AI
Yeah.
that can back up its claims
Uh-huh.
with evidence,
Yeah.
like a superpowered research assistant.
Right.
No more wondering,
Right.
where do they get that information?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really tackling a big challenge in the AI world.
Okay.
You know how sometimes AI models,
Mm.
especially the really large language models, just kind of make things up?
Oh, yeah.
They can sound totally convincing, but
Yeah.
it's all fabricated.
Oh, yeah, the whole AI hallucination thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of freaky when you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, how can we trust AI
Right.
if it's just making stuff up?
Oh, exactly. And that's a huge problem if we're going to rely on AI for things
Right.
like research or decision making, you know?
Yeah.
So this research is trying to fix that by teaching AI to cite its sources,
Right.
just like we do in a research paper.
So basically giving AI a bibliography.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's not as simple as just telling it
Right.
to list its sources.
You're right. It's much more complex than that.
Okay.
Current methods often rely on humans,
Yeah.
manually fact-checking everything the AI produces.
Oh, wow.
Imagine having to check every single sentence an AI writes. It's
Yeah.
super time-consuming and expensive.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is.
So how does SelfCite change things?
Yeah.
You mentioned it's self-supervised, right?
Exactly. SelfCite is a totally new method
Right.
that doesn't need all that expensive human help.
Wow.
It's like the AI is learning to fact-check itself,
Whoa.
which is pretty incredible when you think about it.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Yeah.
How does an AI learn to fact-check itself?
So it uses this technique called context ablation.
Okay.
Essentially, they remove or isolate the text
Okay.
that the AI is citing
Right.
and see how much the AI's answer changes.
Oh.
So think of it like this. If you remove a key piece of evidence,
Yeah.
does the conclusion still hold up?
So it's like testing the foundation of an argument.
Yeah.
If the argument crumbles without a specific source,
Right.
then that source was probably pretty important.
Right. And to evaluate those citations, they use two key scores:
Okay.
necessity and sufficiency.
Oh,
Necessity means the citation was crucial for the AI's reasoning.
Right.
If you remove it, the AI's answer completely changes.
Makes sense. What about sufficiency?
Sufficiency means the citation contains all the information
Oh, okay.
the AI needed to reach its conclusion.
Okay.
It didn't need any other sources to back up its claim.
So necessity tells us if the source is important,
Yes.
and sufficiency tells us if it's enough on its own.
Right.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah.
But how do we know if SelfCite actually works?
Yeah.
Did they put it to the test?
They sure did. They tested SelfCite on a benchmark called LongBench-Cite,
Okay.
which covers a wide range of tasks and languages.
Wow.
And get this, SelfCite significantly improved the accuracy of citations
Okay.
without needing any human annotations.
Wow. So it's like SelfCite is acing its test without even studying.
Exactly.
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of how even small changes in citations
Sure.
can make a big difference?
In the paper, they have a great example
Yeah.
where the AI is asked to summarize a government report.
Okay.
The difference in citations between a regular model and SelfCite is small,
Right.
but the impact on the accuracy and trustworthiness of the information is huge.
Okay, hold on. You mentioned something about a best of n sampling approach.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Oh, that's just a fancy way of saying that instead of generating one set of citations,
Right.
the AI generates multiple options
Yeah.
and then uses the SelfCite scores to pick the best one.
So it's like having a team of editors reviewing multiple drafts to
Exactly.
choose the one with the strongest citations.
You got it.
Yep.
And that's how they were able to show that SelfCite leads to more accurate and relevant citations,
Wow.
even for complex topics.
This is seriously blowing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe AI is getting this good at evaluating itself.
It is pretty remarkable.
It seems like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah,
But it's not just about the technology.
right,
It's about building trust in AI.
right.
When AI can accurately cite its sources, it becomes much more reliable.
Exactly.
I see what you mean. It's like, if I can see where the AI is getting its information,
Yeah,
I'm more likely to trust its conclusions.
exactly. And that's what makes this research so exciting.
Yeah.
It's a step towards making AI a more trustworthy and valuable tool.
Right.
But We've only just scratched the surface here.
Okay.
There's so much more to uncover about SelfCite.
I can't wait. Okay, my brain is still trying to process the fact that AI can basically fact-check itself now.
It is pretty amazing.
But you mentioned there's even more to self-cite, right?
Absolutely. We've talked about how SelfCite figures out which citations are important.
Right.
But the really cool part is how it actually improves the AI's citing abilities.
So it's not just identifying good citations.
Right.
It's actually learning to create them.
Exactly. And they use a couple of different methods to do this.
Okay.
Remember that best of N sampling we talked about?
Uh-huh.
That's one way. It's like having a team of editors choosing the most accurate citation
Right.
from a set of options, but they also use something called preference optimization.
Okay, preference optimization.
Yeah.
Lay it on me. What's that all about?
Well, it's like taking those editing skills
Okay.
and building them directly into the AI.
Right.
Instead of just picking the best citation from a list,
Yeah.
it's actually learning to generate better citations from the start.
So it's not just learning from its mistakes.
Right.
It's becoming a more skilled researcher over time.
That's a great way to put it.
Wow.
And the researchers found that this preference optimization,
Yeah.
combined with the best of N sampling,
Uh-huh.
led to even more accurate citations.
Wow. So it's like,
The AI is not just getting better at picking good citations.
Right.
It's getting better at creating them.
that's amazing.
Right.
But you know what they say? Nothing's perfect.
Right?
Are there any limitations to self-cite?
That's a great question, and the researchers were very upfront about the limitations of their work.
Okay.
One thing they mentioned is that while they found a really effective way to train the AI,
Yeah.
there might be even better methods out there that they haven't explored yet.
So they found a good solution, but they're still open to finding even better ones.
Right.
That's a good attitude to have.
And another thing they pointed out
Yeah.
is that they haven't completely figured out how to make the initial training process
Yeah.
totally self-supervised.
Okay.
They still need to give the AI some pre-existing data to get it started.
So it's like giving the AI a basic set of tools
Exactly.
before letting it loose to build its own amazing structures.
Exactly. But the fact that they're already thinking about these future directions is really exciting.
Yeah.
Imagine an AI that can learn to cite sources entirely on its own,
Oh.
without any human input at all.
Okay, now you're just messing with my mind.
Yeah,
That sounds like pure science fiction.
it's getting there.
But let's bring it back down to earth for a second. How would this actually be used in the real world?
Yeah.
Can you give me some concrete examples?
Sure. Imagine you're working on a research project
Okay.
and you have an AI assistant that can not only find relevant information,
Yeah.
but also provide accurate citations for everything it finds.
Oh.
Think of all the time you'd save.
No more sifting through endless search results or double-checking sources.
Right.
Sign me up. What else?
Think about AI-powered news aggregators
Uh-huh.
that can automatically cite their sources for every story. This would be huge for combating misinformation
Okay.
and increasing transparency in the news we consume.
Oh, wow. That would be a game changer in today's world.
Yeah,
It could actually help people trust the news again.
exactly. And these are just a couple of examples.
Yeah.
We're really just scratching the surface of what's possible with AI that can accurately cite its sources.
This is all incredibly fascinating, but it also makes me wonder about the bigger picture.
Yeah,
If AI is getting this good at evaluating information,
right.
what does that mean for how we evaluate information?
That's a great question. And it's something we all need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
As AI becomes more sophisticated,
Right.
we need to become more sophisticated in how we evaluate the information it provides.
So we can't just blindly trust anything an AI tells us,
Right.
even if it comes with a perfectly formatted citation.
Exactly. We still need to be critical thinkers.
Okay.
We need to be able to assess the credibility of sources,
Uh-huh.
identify potential biases,
Right.
and understand the limitations of AI systems.
So it's not about replacing our own judgment with AI.
Right.
It's about using AI to enhance our judgment.
Precisely. Think of it as a partnership.
Oh, okay.
AI can help us process vast amounts of information
Right.
and identify patterns.
Yeah.
But we need to bring our own human insights
Yeah.
and critical thinking skills to the table.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like AI can be the amazing research assistant,
Yes.
but we still need to be the ones driving the research,
Right.
asking the important questions and making the final decisions.
Absolutely. And as AI keeps evolving,
Yeah.
it's going to be more and more important for us to keep our critical thinking skills sharp.
Well, I'm definitely feeling challenged to up my critical thinking game.
Me too.
But before we get carried away talking about the future,
Yeah.
I'm curious about one detail in the research paper.
Okay.
You mentioned they did an ablation study.
Uh-huh.
What is that, and why did they do it?
So it's a way to figure out which parts of a system are the most important. They basically remove or change different components
Right.
and see how it affects the overall performance.
So it's like taking apart a clock to figure out which gears are essential for it to tell time.
Perfect analogy.
Okay, cool.
In this case, they were testing different ways to combine those necessity and sufficiency scores.
Right.
We talked about earlier, remember how the AI generates multiple citation options?
Yes.
And then chooses the best one?
Uh-huh.
They were trying to figure out the best way to make that choice.
Interesting. So what did they find? What was the best strategy?
Well, they tried a bunch of different combinations,
Yeah.
but it turned out that using both the necessity and sufficiency scores together
Okay.
led to the biggest improvements in citation accuracy.
It's like you need both the right ingredients and the right instructions to bake a cake.
Exactly.
You can't have one without the other.
By considering both how important a citation is
Right.
and whether it's sufficient on its own,
Okay.
they created a system that guides the AI towards the most accurate and complete citations.
This is all incredibly impressive. But I'm also starting to realize how much more there is to explore.
Right.
I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this paper.
You're right. We could probably spend hours dissecting all the nuances of this research.
Well, maybe we should schedule a follow-up deep dive sometime, but for now, it's time to start wrapping things up.
Agreed. But before we do,
Yeah.
I wanted to mention one more fascinating detail from the paper.
Okay.
They actually tested SelfCite on both English and Chinese language tasks.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So it's not just limited to one language?
Nope. And it seems to work just as well in both languages,
Yeah.
which is a huge step forward. This means that SelfCite has the potential to be even more impactful on a global scale.
That's pretty amazing. It's like they've created a universal translator for AI citations.
I know, right?
The possibilities are truly mind-boggling. But speaking of mind-boggling, I have to admit my brain is feeling a little overloaded right now.
I hear you. We've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
From AI hallucinations to context ablation. It's been a whirlwind of information.
It really has, and I feel like I've learned a ton. But before we officially wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something you said earlier
Oh, yeah?
about AI changing the way we think and learn. It sounded like a pretty profound idea.
Yeah.
You know, if AI is becoming capable of evaluating information on its own, does that change how we learn as humans?
I think it definitely raises some interesting questions.
Yeah.
You know, it's tempting to think that we
Yeah.
could just hand over all the hard thinking to AI.
Right.
Like, why bother fact-checking ourselves if the AI is doing it for us?
Yeah, I can see the appeal of that for sure.
Right.
But something tells me it's not that simple.
You're right. It's not.
Okay.
AI can be an incredible tool for processing information.
Right.
But it's still just a tool. We can't just blindly accept everything it tells us,
Yeah.
even if it comes with a list of citations.
Yeah. So it's not about replacing human thinking with AI. It's about finding ways for them to work together.
Exactly. Think of it as a collaboration.
Okay.
AI can help us sift through massive amounts of data,
Right.
but we still need to bring our own critical thinking skills to the table.
Uh-huh.
We need to be able to evaluate the information it presents,
Yeah.
assess the credibility of sources, and understand the limitations of AI.
So even in a world where AI can fact-check itself,
Mhm.
we still need to be able to fact-check the AI.
Absolutely. In fact, as AI becomes more sophisticated,
Yeah.
it's going to be even more important for us to hone our critical thinking skills.
Okay. That makes sense. The more complex the tool, the more skilled the user needs to be.
Right.
But it also sounds like a bit of a paradox. We're relying on AI to help us understand the world,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we need to be skeptical of the information it gives us.
It might seem like a paradox, but I think it's actually a healthy tension.
Okay.
You know, it pushes us to be more engaged and discerning learners. We can't just passively absorb information anymore.
Right.
We need to actively question it, evaluate it, and make our own judgments.
So this is about more than just learning about AI. It's about learning how to learn in a world where AI is constantly changing the information landscape.
That's a great way to put it. It's like AI is forcing us to level up our learning game.
Okay, challenge accepted.
Right.
But where do we even begin? How do we prepare ourselves for this future where AI is such a powerful force in how we learn and understand the world?
I think one of the most important things is to embrace lifelong learning.
Okay.
The world is changing so rapidly, and the skills that are valuable today might be obsolete tomorrow.
right?
We need to be constantly learning and adapting, just like AI does.
So it's like we need to become self-supervised learners too.
Exactly.
No more waiting for someone to tell us what to learn.
Hmm.
We need to take charge of our own education.
Exactly. And that includes learning about AI itself. The more we understand about these technologies, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the challenges and opportunities they present.
So no more burying our heads in the sand. We need to face the AI revolution head on.
Absolutely. AI is here to stay,
Yeah.
and it's going to transform every aspect of our lives. The question is, are we going to be passive bystanders?
Right.
Or are we going to actively shape this transformation to create a better future for ourselves and generations to come?
Wow, that's powerful. It's a little intimidating, but also really exciting to think about.
It's definitely a time of great change and uncertainty,
Yeah.
but I believe that with curiosity, critical thinking, and a commitment to lifelong learning, we can navigate this new landscape and harness the power of AI for good.
Well said. This has been an incredible deep dive, and I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on AI and its impact on our world.
It's been a pleasure discussing this with you. Remember, the future is not set in stone.
Yeah.
It's something we're all actively creating through our choices and actions.
That's a great reminder. And to our listener, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into SelfCite. We hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.
And don't forget to check those citations.